Now I want to talk today and continue talking about this book, Mastery, The Keys to Success and Long-Term Fulfillment by George Leonard, that we've been looking at for the past few weeks. Okay. So George Leonard defines mastery as the mysterious process during which what is at first difficult becomes progressively easier and more pleasurable through practice. All significant learning, he says, is composed of brief spurts of progress followed by long periods of work where it feels as if you're going nowhere. The last 2 weeks, we looked at chapter 11. Okay, it's a small book, but there are many, many chapters. Okay, last 2 weeks, we looked at chapter 11, Getting Energy for Mastery. Today, we'll look at some pitfalls along the path of mastery. Merriam-Webster, the dictionary, defines pitfall as a trap, a snare, specifically. A pit, flimsily covered or camouflaged and used to capture and hold animals or men. It's a hidden or not easily recognized danger or difficulty. For example, for those of us in social media, an example would be another pitfall with Twitter is that spammers can bombard your account with useless information. Okay, so that's a pitfall. Okay, morning Sue, morning Hock Seng. George Leonard says it's easy to get on the path of mastery. The real challenge lies in staying on it. The most dedicated traveler will find pitfalls as well as rewards along the way. George Leonard discusses 13 pitfalls you might run into on your journey. Today I will discuss the first 6 pitfalls. And it's also an opportunity to look at our principles for success again, just to revise those principles. Okay. So the first pitfall is a conflicting way of life. Okay, a conflicting way of life. George Leonard says the path of mastery doesn't exist in a vacuum. It wends its way through a landscape of other obligations, pleasures, relationships. The traveler whose main path of mastery coincides with career and livelihood is fortunate. Others must find space and time outside regular working hours for a preferred practice that brings mastery, but not a living wage. Okay. So, in what we do in growing a network, in investments, where growth is exponential, the compound interest curve is flat at the start before it starts rising. Okay. It's the same with learning an art or learning an instrument. Okay. Or learning how to stand up paddle. Okay. You're putting in time and effort at the expense of your job and maybe your relationships because so much time is put into it. And the results or returns are little or none. But you need to think long term. Okay? You need to visualize the outcome when you eventually are a master. George Leonard goes on to say this, also the matter of family and friends. Do you have their support for what you're doing? Especially, do you have your spouse's support? So he talks a bit about the importance of having your spouse's support. And he quotes psychologist Nathaniel Brandon, who tells his clients, never marry a person who is not a friend of your excitement. Well, I think that this is an ideal requirement, okay, but it's an unrealistic prerequisite for success because you may already be in a relationship, or in that relationship you also got a bad track record of starting crazy stuff. This is, in the opinion of your loved ones, another crazy thing. Okay. Or you may decide that you don't have a partner. Okay, so how can you talk about the importance of having a partner that needs to support you and be excited with you? Okay, so mastery is actually your personal journey. Just expect conflicts. Like when we talked about homeostasis, okay, just expect conflicts, opposition from the start. Find other cheerleaders apart from family and friends. Okay. However, I wholeheartedly agree when George Leonard says, then consider the possibility that the rest of your life can be lived in terms of mastery principles. Okay? He says, consider the possibility that the rest of your life can be lived in terms of mastery principles. So we are talking about the pitfall of conflicting way of life. Okay, there are other things. But he says that, look, you can practice mastery in other areas of your life. In other words, practice mastery in every area of your life. Okay? As one of my mentors said, how you do anything is how you do everything. And this is why Holistic Wednesday is such an important part of Daily Dose, because it is talking about how you live life in other areas and having them all synergize together for you to have better results in every area. Now, the second pitfall he talks about is obsessive goal orientation. Obsessive goal orientation. He says, as pointed out numerous times in this book, the desire of most people today is for quick, sure, and highly visible results. And this is perhaps the deadliest enemy of mastery. It's fine to have ambitious goals, but the best way of reaching them is to cultivate modest expectations at every step along the way. When you're climbing a mountain, in other words, be aware that the peak is ahead, but don't keep looking up at it. Keep your eyes on the path. And when you reach the top of the mountain, as the Zen saying goes, keep on climbing. Okay, I think George Leonard hasn't climbed many mountains, because for us to climb mountains, every time we think we reach the peak, there's actually another peak, another peak. Okay. Now, the third pitfall, he says, is poor instruction. And early on, we've already read about the importance of good instruction and how to recognize bad instruction. He wants to repeat a couple of points. Surrender to your teacher, but only as a teacher, not as a guru. Don't bounce from one teacher to another. But don't stick with a situation that's not working just out of inertia. And remember, the ultimate responsibility for your getting good instruction lies not with your teacher, but with you. Okay, that part I agree. Now, this is a tough one to me. Okay, avoiding this pitfall, because as a beginner, as a white belt, how do you evaluate your teacher who is a black belt? There's no way you can evaluate. Okay, especially in multi-level marketing, where your upline actually isn't a black belt. He's only just a week ahead of you, 2 weeks ahead of you. Okay, and that is how people explode rapidly. They don't wait until their upline is a team elite before they start following him. Okay, so I think it is obviously poor instruction. Good instruction is important, but focus on being a master at following. Okay, focus on being a better learner. Okay. Fourth pitfall is the lack of competitiveness. Okay, lack of competitiveness. Competition, he says, provides spice in life as well as in sports. It's only when the spice becomes the entire diet that the player gets sick. Competition can provide motivation. So he says, take competition as an opportunity to hone your hard-won skills to a fine edge. Failing to play wholeheartedly with a will to win degrades the game and insults the opponent. Winning graciously and losing with equal grace are the marks of a master. Okay? So George Leonard adds that winning is an essential element in the journey, but it isn't the only thing. Now, I would define winning actually as a personal victory. For example, for me, just getting out of the house to climb stairs on a Sunday morning, or on a wet and miserable day, or after a late night. Let's say we've had a late Saturday night. You get up early Sunday morning when everyone is asleep and it's raining. And, to me, that's considered winning, what I call winning a medal. What do I mean by medal? Okay, MEDAL. You win the mind. Okay, so winning over the mind. The E is enrollment. You've enrolled yourself. And remember, the most important person to enroll is always yourself. Okay. D, discipline. Okay, so you exercise discipline. A, you overcome adversity, whatever it is. You maybe have a headache, you may have a you have a leg ache, you may have a whatever heartache, I don't know what ache you have. And then the L is leadership, exercising leadership. Okay, just do it attitude. Okay. So a personal victory is considered a win to me, winning a medal. So when I climb stairs, for example, with Hui Xuan, I'm not competitive. I'm not aiming to be faster than her. But I can tell you, if she was faster than me, I think I would be upset and go for some secret training. Okay, so there is that competitiveness. Okay. Now, the fifth pitfall is over-competitiveness. Okay, so the fourth pitfall was lack of competitiveness. Fifth pitfall is over-competitiveness. The statement, winning isn't everything, it's the only thing, is one of the greatest hoaxes. Okay. The criteria to be number one with its attendant over-competitiveness creates far more losers than winners, because I think it's because people just get discouraged and they quit. When my children were young, I got them involved in sports to prepare them for real life, because in sports I thought you would lose more often than you will win. Okay, and it's the ability to pick yourself up after losing and training harder. That's an important ability in life. Okay. It's developing the ability to face the possibility of failure despite trying your best to do well. So, you want to be competitive, you want to win, but people don't want to win because if they try hard and they don't win, it's considered a failure and disappointment. People can't handle it. Well, you need to learn to handle that, because that's life. Okay. So over-competitiveness is a good thing if you can handle the many failures that will come along. And one of the worst things about this whole issue of competitiveness is comparison. Okay. We only see the good parts of people. Okay. Especially, I don't know, on Facebook, for those who want to, but anyway, you just see the good parts about someone else, but you don't see the struggles, you don't see the failures, you don't see all the difficulties that they have. Okay? So comparison is a deadly thing. Okay? It's a very unrealistic view of how things really are. So I say, always aim for your personal best. Aim to beat yourself. Okay? And that's where CANI comes in. CANI, constant and never-ending improvement. Okay, that's how it can take place with the slight edge philosophy. We always have, aiming for slow, modest improvements. Yeah, that will lead to massive transformations. So, as many of you in the New Skin in the business have discovered. So this is the reminder to make the journey more important than the destination, which is the trophy. Okay, make the journey more important than the destination. Okay. And the sixth and the last pitfall I'm going to talk about today is laziness. So laziness is defined as disinclined to action or exertion, averse to labor, indolent, idle, slothful. Okay. And George Leonard says the bad news is that laziness will knock you off the path. Okay. Now, I find it hard to understand how a person can be lazy when it takes 10,000 hours to become a master. Okay, unless they're just completely unaware of it. Okay. Unless you also have this slight edge practice of taking things easy, because when you keep taking things easy, it grows into a habit of laziness. Yeah, I think the Bible in Proverbs talks about it. Okay, a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come upon you, like a sluggard. So this is why the first crucial characteristic of success is compelling desire. Compelling desire is the first thing you think about when you get up in the morning, and the last thing you think about before you go to bed. Is someone who's passionate about computer games ever lazy to play? No, it doesn't exist. Okay, action produces results, and this is the best possible cure for laziness. Next week, we're going to look at the remaining pitfalls along the path of mastery.